In a world of shadows, she is both temptation and terror. Suki's beauty lures men close, but her blade sends them to the grave. From blood-drenched hallways to a wedding gown hiding a sniper's rifle, every move is a mix of desire and death. Trained to seduce, built to kill, betrayed by the only men she ever loved, she turns passion into a weapon and vengeance into art. This isn't just an assassin story, it's the rise of the most dangerous woman alive. If you like your action hot and your revenge even hotter, hit that like, smash subscribe, and let's dive in. The film opens with a young woman named Suk-hee storming into a building controlled by a triad leader named Park who runs a drug operation. In the hallway, men rush at her from every direction. Armed with guns, knives, she cuts them down one after another. The deeper she advances, the more bodies fall. Each new opponent believes they'll be the one to stop her, but they meet the same fate as those before them. Suki pushes through the endless corridors until she finally reaches the room where Park waits, guarded by yet another group of men. She tears through them with precision before facing Park himself. After a brutal fight, she overpowers him, ties a rope around his neck, and leaps out of the building, strangling Park. When she lands, police officers surround her. Instead of fear, she greets them with a cold, sinister smile. Meanwhile, a secret government agency monitors her every move through CCTV, having watched her annihilate Park's gang. They are after a valuable hard drive. One of the agents notes that Suk-hee's unmatched skills could be useful to them. Suk-hee wakes briefly inside a facility, only to collapse again. Drugged and barely conscious, she becomes the subject of an involuntary surgery that alters her face. A flashback reveals her past under the training of a man named Lee Jun-sang. During an underwater drill, the recruits are forced to hold their breath while bound. After 5 minutes, he throws knives into the pool for them to cut free. The others surface quickly, but Suk-hee remains underwater. Believing she has drowned, Yoon-song dives in to rescue her. When he tries to revive her, he realizes she was only pretending. Her extraordinary breath control sets her apart. Back in the present, the facility staff waits for her to regain consciousness. When she lies unresponsive, they prepare to dispose of her. But Suk-hee has been faking. She springs to life, attacks her captors, and attempts to escape. Surrounded again, she seizes one of them as a hostage, pressing a knife to his throat before slipping away through the corridors. She crashes into a room where young women are rehearsing ballet. They continue dancing, ignoring her presence, which unsettles her. Moments later, she barges into a kitchen where some women cooking mock her and tell her there's no escape. Desperate, she pushes on until she finds a makeup room, where a woman named Kwon-suk offers help. Guiding her to the rooftop, Kwon-suk jumps off and urges Suk-hee to follow. Suk-hee leaps after her, only to be struck mid-air by a tranquilizer shot from Kwon-suk herself. The facility is revealed to be part of South Korea's intelligence agency, with Kwon-suk as its chief. When Suk-hee regains consciousness, Kwon-suk explains that her identity has been erased and her death faked. Because of her extraordinary skills, the government sees her as an asset. Suk-hee shows no interest, insisting they should have killed her instead. Kwon-suk offers her a deal: 10 years of service as an agent in exchange for freedom and a pension. Suk-hee refuses, until Kwon-suk reveals a pregnancy scan proving she is carrying a child. The agency promises her and the baby an apartment once she completes training and her first mission. With no choice left, Suk-hee reluctantly agrees. Her training begins with discipline and subtlety, including the need to master a cover profession. She chooses stage performance as her front. Months later, she gives birth to a daughter she names Eun-hye. During a sparring session with swords, a trainee named Kim Hyena brutally beats a new recruit, Minju, to assert dominance. Suk-hee watches with contempt until Kim dares her to step in. Suk-hee accepts and swiftly puts her in her place. This moment sparks her friendship with Minju, her first ally within the facility. Meanwhile, the agency continues to strip away her past. They remove a tattoo tied to her former life. The procedure triggers memories of Jun-song, the man who trained her and gave her the tattoo when she was 20. In that memory, he asked who had killed her father. Suk-hee admitted she didn't know but vowed to uncover the truth and kill the person responsible. Through the following months, she passes every test effortlessly, as the skills are already ingrained in her since childhood under Jun-song's tutelage. Eventually, she is deemed mission-ready. Kwon-suk assigns her first target. At the man's home, the confrontation turns into a violent struggle because he anticipated her attack, but she eventually kills him. But as she looks up, she sees his young daughter frozen on the staircase, staring in silence. The shock lingers only for a moment before she is forced to escape. Guards chase her across the streets, but she evades them, leaping off a bridge and swimming to safety. Kwon-suk picks her up at the shore. A flashback then reveals the trauma that shaped her. At 7 years old, Suk-hee hid under a bed as her father was murdered. She never saw the killer's face, but she remembers the chilling tune he whistled as he perpetrated the act. Moments later, a man named Jang Chun, her father's friend, entered searching for something. Her father had recently found a gemstone, intending to gift it to her when she married. Jang Chun discovered Suk-hee hiding and dragged her out, torturing her for the gem's location. Jun Sung intervened, fighting Jang Chun's men, but Jang Chun managed to flee with Suk-hee. He later sold her to a brothel. On her first night there, Jun Sang returned, killed the client, and rescued her. From that moment, he trained her into a lethal weapon. After completing her first mission, Suk-hee is allowed to leave the facility. She moves into an apartment with her daughter, continuing to serve the agency under close watch. She bids farewell to Min-ju, the only true friend she made inside. Unknown to her, the agency plants an undercover agent next door. His name is Jung Hyun-soo, assigned to monitor her by posing as a neighbor. He engineers an encounter in the elevator, pretending to bump into her by accident, then strikes up a casual conversation. He even tries to charm Eun-hye, which unsettles Suk-hee. She plays along but remains wary. The agency, having already installed cameras throughout her apartment, closely monitors the interaction. When Suk-hee calls to request a background check on her new neighbor, they pretend to comply. Meanwhile, Hyun-soo reports back. Kwon-suk warns him that he is pushing too hard. Over time, Suk-hee lowers her guard as Hyun-soo treats her kindly, and their friendship deepens until even young Eun-hye begins to see him as a father figure. Soon, Suk-hee and Hyun-soo start dating. Having researched her extensively, Hyun-soo already knows her preferences. Though his mission is to watch her, he genuinely likes her, something that began when he first observed her at the facility. To please her, he even wears a colored tie she likes. When Suk-hee notices the tie, it triggers a memory of Jun-sang. A flashback reveals their marriage. Out of devotion to the man who saved her, she had proposed they wed, believing that love might help her abandon her obsession with revenge and live a normal life. They traveled to Seoul for their honeymoon, but during the trip, Jun-sang received a call warning him that one of his men, Choi Chun-mo, was in danger. He left to help. Later, Chun-mo appeared before Suk-hee with devastating news. Jun-sang had been killed while trying to protect him. According to Chun-mo, the murderer was the same man who killed Suk-hee's father. Chun-mo managed to escape, but Jun-sang was kidnapped only for his battered body to be found. Suk-hee was heartbroken and consumed by rage, leading to the bloody rampage against Park and his gang as seen at the beginning of the film. Back in the present, Suk-hee and Hyun-soo return from a date, their growing affection undeniable. During their conversation, she admits that her husband died years earlier. Their bond grows stronger, and they share a kiss. Just then, Suk-hee receives a call from Min-ju, who claims to have been in an accident. In a rush, she asks Hyun-soo to watch Eun-hye, which he readily agrees to. When Suk-hee arrives, she learns Min-ju lied. This is her first assignment and she needs help. The mission is to retrieve data from a target's phone. Disguised as hookers, the women approach the target. Min-ju distracts the target while Suk-hee slips away with his phone. But when she returns, the men have caught on. A knife is pressed to Min-ju's throat. The operation unravels and a violent fight breaks out. In the chaos, Min-ju is gravely wounded. Their mistake of leaving an enemy alive cost her dearly. Suk-hee, enraged, brutally kills the man. She then escorts Min-ju outside. Kwon-suk arrives with her team and demands the data. Suk-hee begs them to take Min-ju to the ICU, but Kwon-suk coldly dismisses the idea, declaring there's no hope. She allows Min-ju to bleed out. Suk-hee collapses, sobbing bitterly. At home, she cries her heart out, unable to shake the guilt. Hyun-soo stays by her side, offering comfort. The next morning, she wakes to find him tenderly feeding Eun-hye, his presence slowly weaving into their lives. Meanwhile, the intelligence agency analyzes the stolen phone. It contains information about Choi Chun-mo, now risen to the rank of gang leader. He was the one who stole the hard drive during Suk-hee's massacre of Park and his men. The agency begins to suspect Suk-hee of being a double agent, given her past connection to him. In the following days, Suk-hee and Hyun-soo's relationship grows stronger, and they decide to marry. She shares the news with Kwon-suk, who agrees, and even arranges the wedding. To maintain appearances, the agency pays guests to attend. On the wedding day, Hyuna arrives, arrogant and sharp-tongued as ever. She mocks Suk-hee, takes a picture with her, and then receives a call from Kwon-suk. Handing the phone to the bride, Kwon-suk assigns Suk-hee on a mission. Suk-hee's next target is in the building beside the wedding venue, and a gun awaits her in the bathroom. Suk-hee rushes to the bathroom, retrieves a sniper rifle, and assembles it with precision. Still in her wedding gown, she positions herself at the vent and aims at the target. But just as she prepares to pull the trigger, a familiar face comes into view. She fires at the men blocking her line of sight, desperate for confirmation. To her shock, the target is none other than Jun Sang. Stunned, she lowers the weapon, unable to go through with the mission. Shocked by the revelation, Suk-hee forgets to clean up her prints. Sensing her failure, Kwon-suk sends Hyuna to erase all traces and finish the job, which she accepts with a satisfied smile. Meanwhile, Jun Sang traces the origin of the shots, discovers they came from the wedding, and begins following the trail. Eventually, he tracks Suk-hee to a restaurant. While Hyun-soo steps away to take a private call, Jun Sang confronts her at gunpoint. He suspects she is Suk-hee but cannot be certain. She masks her recognition and feigns ignorance. Jun Sang leaves but secretly taps into the line, overhearing a conversation between Hyun-soo and Kwon-suk that confirms his suspicion. A flashback reveals the truth about Suk-hee's marriage to Jun Sang. For her, it was real, but for him, it was nothing more than a means to an end. He never loved her. He saw her only as a useful assassin and resented her obsession with avenging her father's death. He even staged their wedding, paying strangers to pose as guests. During their supposed honeymoon, he faked saving Choi Chun-mo and staged his own death as a way to escape her. For Suk-hee, the realization was crushing. She had killed countless men, all for nothing. Later, after a stage play where Jun Sang is present, Suk-hee receives a flower from him. Hidden inside is a note leading her to a location where she retrieves a flash drive. At a cyber cafe, she views its contents and learns a heartbreaking truth. Hyun-soo is an undercover agent assigned to monitor her. Overcome with emotion, she questions whether his affection for her was ever real. Despite this betrayal, she warns Jun Sang that another assassin has been sent to kill him. He and his men lie in wait. They capture Hyuna upon arrival, torture her for information, and then kill her. That night, Suk-hee returns home, hiding what she knows and pretending everything is normal. Hyun-soo tells her he must visit his sick mother. She doesn't believe him but embraces him anyway, wishing him well. Meanwhile, Kwon-suk, suspicious that Suk-hee has reconnected with Jun Sang and compromised their operation, takes her into custody. She instructs Hyun-soo to collect Eun-hye from school. On the way, their convoy is ambushed by Jun Sang and his men. Jun Sang rescues Suk-hee and takes her to her apartment to retrieve her daughter. But the moment she steps out of the car, her apartment explodes. She spots Hyun-soo thrown clear by the blast, clutching their daughter in his arms. Rushing to them, she desperately shakes her child hoping for signs of life, but Eun-hye is already gone. Suk-hee breaks down in anguish. She turns to Hyun-soo, demanding to know who is behind it all. He tries to speak but soon gives in to his injuries, leaving Suk-hee shattered, enraged, and weak. Suk-hee, believing the agency is responsible, goes to confront Kwon-suk, who finally reveals the bitter truth. On a security camera recording, Suk-hee sees Hyun-soo returning home with Eun-hye. Inside the apartment, Jun Sang's men are waiting. They order Hyun-soo to kill the child to save his own life, but he refuses. In desperation, he demands to speak with Jun Sang directly. Over the phone, he pleads for Eun-hye's life, confessing that she is his daughter. But when one of Jun Sang's men takes the phone, Jun Sang whistles the same haunting tune Suk-hee heard before her father was murdered. In that instant, the truth dawns on her. Jun Sang was her father's killer all along. Even more devastating is the realization that Jun Sang gave the order for the explosives to be detonated, ensuring she witnesses the horror of losing the people she loved most. Overwhelmed with fury, Sookie sets out to hunt him down. Along the way, she stumbles upon a recording of a conversation between Hyun-soo and Kwon-suk. In it, he admits that he wanted to marry Sookie for real because he truly loved her. The revelation shatters her even further. She eventually tracks Jun Sang and his gang to a parking garage. A vicious fight erupts, but Jun Sang manages to escape with his surviving men, fleeing in a bus. Determined not to let him get away, Sookie gives chase. She is hit by a car but forces herself back up, hijacks the vehicle, and pushes forward. With reckless precision, she maneuvers the car in a daring stunt that launches her onto the moving bus. They try to throw her off, but she clings tightly and retaliates with ferocity. Inside the bus, she slaughters Jun Sang's men until only he remains. The two finally face each other in a brutal fight that leaves them both badly wounded. In a desperate move, Sookie slashes the driver with her axe, sending the bus crashing violently. The wreckage knocks them unconscious, but she awakens first. Rising to her feet, she approaches Jun Sang, axe in hand. For a moment, she hesitates. He taunts her, daring her to strike if her love for him will allow it. Sookie asks him if he ever loved her, but he mocks her and whistles the same eerie tune he used when he killed her father. Enraged, Sookie finally strikes him. As Sookie steps out of the chaos, the police surround her, but she stands tall and lets out a cold, sinister smile. Whew! Talk about drama, blood, and betrayal with a side of sexy chaos. If that recap had your jaw on the floor like mine, don't just sit there scrolling. Smash that like button harder than Sookie swings an axe, drop a comment about your favorite WTF moment, and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next wild ride. And hey, if you're really about that life, join the channel membership for the behind-the-scenes goodies. Stay sharp, stay spicy, and I'll catch you in the next recap.